We live in a world overwhelmed by stimuli, ceaseless notifications, external demands, and the constant pressure to meet social expectations. This mental noise not only robs us of clarity, but also disconnects us from our true selves. For Jung, the human mind is not an empty space. It is a cosmos in constant motion, filled with images, ideas, and emotions from both the conscious and unconscious. When our consciousness is flooded with external stimuli, the unconscious often manifests chaotically, bringing anxiety, distraction, and lack of focus. This is where mental noise emerges, creating a barrier between us and our essence. Thinking clearly, according to Jung, requires more than just reducing external distractions. It's a profound psychological endeavor identifying the origins of our thoughts, integrating repressed parts of our psyche, and reconnecting with the self, the center of our totality. By eliminating mental noise, we not only gain clarity to address everyday problems, but also make room to understand our purpose and live authentically. The process, however, is far from simple. It demands introspection, confronting the shadow, and a willingness to accept that some of this mental noise stems from internal conflicts we avoid facing. Jung believed the human psyche strives for balance, and internal chaos often signals a cry for attention, a call from the unconscious to look within and listen to what has been long silenced. In this video, we'll explore how to eliminate mental noise and achieve clarity through Jung's teachings. We'll delve into practical techniques based on his concepts, such as dream work, shadow integration, and cultivating inner stillness. You'll discover that the true secret isn't just tuning out the external world, it's creating harmony within. Get ready to meet your psyche. After all, the clarity you seek isn't outside of you, it's a reflection of your ability to find inner peace. Jung understood mental noise as a reflection of the conflict between the conscious and unconscious. He believed that when we ignore our internal needs and live solely by external standards, we create an imbalance that manifests as confusion, overwhelm, and a lack of direction. For him, clear thinking requires aligning our consciousness with the contents of the unconscious, allowing the two to work together harmoniously. A fundamental concept for understanding mental noise is the shadow, which Jung described as the rejected or repressed aspects of our psyche. These include emotions, desires, and parts of ourselves that we deem inappropriate or incompatible with the image we present to the world. When the shadow is ignored, it doesn't disappear, it emerges indirectly as intrusive thoughts, anxiety, or a persistent sense of dissatisfaction. In this sense, mental noise can be seen as the unconscious trying to make itself heard. Another critical factor is the role of the collective unconscious, which holds archetypes and universal patterns that influence our thoughts and behaviors. Often, the internal voices that confuse our minds echo these archetypes, especially when we're disconnected from our purpose. For instance, the hero archetype might manifest as pressure to achieve great things, while the sage might compel us to question whether we're on the right path. When these archetypes go unrecognized, they can amplify internal noise, making clear thinking more difficult. For Jung, the first step to eliminating mental noise is self-observation. He argued that we must become aware of the thoughts occupying our minds and ask ourselves, where does this come from? Is this thought truly mine, or was it inherited from external expectations? This practice helps us distinguish what belongs to our authentic self from what is merely projection or external influence. Jung also emphasized the importance of cultivating inner silence, which he described as a connection to the self. This silence is not the absence of sound, but a state of presence and receptivity, where we can truly hear what our psyche wants to communicate. Eliminating mental noise and thinking clearly, according to Jung's teachings, requires practical actions to reconnect with the unconscious and the self. Let's explore some tools and concrete examples to make this transformation achievable. Anna's story. Listening to the shadow, Anna, a young professional, feels her mind is constantly overloaded with conflicting thoughts. She strives for career success, but feels a deep restlessness she cannot explain. At work, she's a perfectionist, but at home, she feels exhausted and disconnected from herself. What's going on? This is a classic case of mental noise arising from unrecognized aspects of the shadow, perhaps a repressed desire to explore her creativity or a neglected need for rest. Anna decides to try Jung's method of active imagination, a process to access the unconscious. Sitting quietly with her eyes closed, she imagines entering a dialogue with the source of her unease. In her mind, she sees a sad child sitting in a dark corner. Anna realizes this child represents a part of herself she's neglected, her need for freedom and creative expression. With this insight, she adjusts her routine to include artistic activities, reducing her mental overload. Jo's journey, decoding dreams. Another powerful tool is dream work. Jung believed that dreams are a gateway to the unconscious. Joe, for instance, starts writing down his dreams every morning. In one, he finds himself lost in a forest surrounded by threatening animals. Upon reflection, he understands that the forest symbolizes his confused mind, and the animals represent fears he's avoided confronting. This dream inspires him to begin meditating and seeking therapy to address these fears, helping him organize his thoughts. The practice of intentional silence. In addition to these methods, cultivating intentional silence is a simple yet effective strategy. This can include meditation, nature walks, or even regular breaks from external stimuli. These moments allow the mind to slow down and reorganize itself, letting clarity emerge naturally. Aligning with the self. These techniques not only reduce mental noise but also deepen our connection to the self. For Jung, aligning with the self was the highest goal of psychological development and the key to lasting mental clarity. When disconnected from the self, we allow mental noise generated by internal conflicts, external expectations, and the ego's demands to dominate. But the self, the central core of our psyche, is an inexhaustible source of balance and wisdom. Thinking clearly, therefore, depends on our ability to align with the center. Mental noise often intensifies when we become excessively identified with our archetypes. For instance, the perfectionist archetype can trap us in endless rumination about what we should have done differently. Similarly, the savior archetype might lead us to feel responsible for solving others' problems, creating emotional and mental overload. Jung believed that recognizing these archetypal patterns and understanding their impact on our lives is crucial to dissipating mental confusion. One of the most effective ways to align with the self is through individuation, the integration of the conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. This process involves acknowledging and accepting the shadow, as well as establishing an active dialogue with the archetypes that influence our lives. For example, when you recognize that the perfectionist is dictating your actions, you can consciously choose to temper your expectations and prioritize your well-being. This practice reduces internal tension and clarifies what truly matters. The power of synchronicity. Another vital dimension of eliminating mental noise is cultivating synchronicity. You describe synchronicity as meaningful events that appear coincidental but reveal a profound connection between the psyche and the external world. Paying attention to these occurrences can help us discern patterns aligned with our inner purpose, providing a sense of order amidst chaos. As we align with the self, these synchronicities often become more frequent, reflecting a harmonious connection with the natural flow of life. The practice of self-inquiry. Regular self-inquiry is also fundamental. Ask yourself, does this thought reflect my essence, or is it merely an echo of external expectations? This ongoing introspection is a powerful step towards silencing mental noise and accessing clarity from within. Eliminating mental noise and achieving clarity is ultimately a journey of reconnection with our essence, a process Jung described as the quest for the self. When we align our consciousness with this inner core, the mind finds peace and previously scattered thoughts reorganize into a more harmonious pattern. Jung believed that true clarity isn't achieved by rigidly controlling or silencing the mind. Instead, it emerges from balance, cultivated through self-knowledge. This balance arises when we accept our internal contradictions, integrate repressed aspects of the shadow, and recognize that mental noise, despite its discomfort, can be a call to explore neglected parts of our psyche. The forest within, a metaphor for mental clarity. Imagine mental confusion as a dense forest. At first, the landscape feels impenetrable, filled with paths leading nowhere. But as you enter the forest with curiosity and courage, hidden trails begin to emerge. These trails guide you to your center, to the self where clarity and purpose reside. This journey may be challenging, but as Jung reminds us, what you most fear to face is where your greatest power lies. Practical steps for clarity in daily life. Cultivating practices like introspection, dream work, and observing synchronicities can create space for inner silence. Simple acts, writing down your thoughts, taking mindful breaks, or meditating may seem small but have profound effects when done with intention. These pauses invite you to listen to your psyche and allow the unconscious to reveal its wisdom. The impact of inner silence. By silencing mental noise, you gain clarity not just in your choices and direction, but also in your connection to life's natural flow. This clarity becomes more than a fleeting state. It evolves into an ongoing practice of self-alignment. It transforms how you think and how you relate to the world more consciously, authentically, and harmoniously. Remember, mental noise is not an enemy but a teacher. It highlights where you need to focus, offering insights into what requires attention and care. By confronting it with Jung's tools, you'll discover that the clarity you seek doesn't come from controlling your mind but from listening to it. True silence, after all, comes from within.